All right, Tamer, we ready to go?
We are ready.
Okay, meeting is called to order. Public portion of the meeting begins. The New Jersey Open Public Meeting Law was enacted to ensure the rights of the public to have advance notice of and to attend the meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. In accordance with the provisions of this act, the business administrator, board secretary, has caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place thereof posted on the bulletin board of the municipal building, communicated to the Herald News, the Record, and filed with the clerk of the Borough of Hawthorne. Roll call, please.
Mr. Carr? Mr. Carr? Mr. Clavijo?
Here.
Ms. Goff?
Here.
Mr. Carr? Mr. Palouse?
Here.
Mr. Reicher?
Here.
Ms. Sanford?
Here.
Mr. Totaro?
Here.
Mr. Turco?
Here.
Mr. Doyle?
Here.
Mr. Carr?
Judy, Mr. Carr is here. He's having some audio
Thank you.
problems. He's just switching computers.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I'm just gonna pause for a couple seconds, give him a chance to get squared away. All right, would everyone please rise and join me for the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
States of America.
and to the republic
Which stands
one nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
God,
indivisible,
With liberty
and
justice for all.
Meeting regulations. During each regular meeting, 2 opportunities are provided for citizens to ask questions and to make comments. During the first opportunity, early on the agenda, the meeting is open to the public for the purpose of addressing items listed for approval on this agenda only. The second opportunity occurs just prior to adjournment, when citizens may address any subject matter that is pertinent to and/or directly related to the operation of the school district. If you wish to make a comment or ask a question during the public portion of the meeting, you may submit the question by accessing the Q&A feature on the bottom of the Zoom screen, or you may submit a question via our Board of Education email address at Hawthorne, BOE, at hawthorne.k12.nj.us, which is available on our district website. When submitting questions via Zoom or email, please be sure to include your first and last name, address, and email address, followed by your question. We will do our very best to answer all questions in the order in which they are received. If for some reason we are unable to answer your question, someone from the district will respond using the email address you've provided. The board asks that members of the public be courteous and mindful of the rights of other individuals when asking questions. Please note that the board will not respond to comments regarding students or board employees in light of the privacy rights held by those individuals. Moreover, the board discourages comments about such individuals and will not be responsible for such comments. Members of the public who choose to ask questions during this public session should carefully consider their comments, since they could be held personally liable for any statements they make. Finally, please note that in accordance with district policy, the board will not officially comment or respond to any matter mentioned unless it can confirm that the matter has first been brought to the attention of the appropriate school personnel in an attempt to resolve the issue. All right, so public be heard, agenda items only. I don't see any questions and answers. Do we have any emails, Mr. Sprito?
No, we do not currently have any emails.
All right. Moving on. Approval of minutes from the April 16th, 2020 regular meeting and the April 28th, 2020 budget presentation. May we have a roll call, please?
May I have a motion, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. So we need a motion
So
and a
moved.
second, please.
Second.
Do we have any discussion? No discussion? All right, roll call, please, Trudy.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo?
Yes.
Ms. Goff?
Yes.
Mr. Palouse?
Yes.
Mr. Reicher?
Yes.
Ms. Sanford?
Yes.
Mr. Totaro?
Yes.
Mr. Turco?
Yes.
Mr. Doyle?
Yes. All right, moving on to correspondence. We have our student council representative report, Ms. Ava Tower.
Good evening. Hawthorne High School students are continuing their education online. This month, the HHS Student Council hosted a district-wide virtual Spirit Week. Students from all 5 schools participated, and it was great seeing everyone's Hawthorne pride. I would like to congratulate the HHS peer leaders on coming in 4th place at the Passaic County Teen Summit Video Contest. Our video this year was video game themed, and everyone worked so hard, and the final product was amazing. The high school announcements are still available daily on our YouTube channel, courtesy of Mr. Small and the broadcasting students. Check out Bears Broadcasting on YouTube for many more video highlights. Many virtual events have taken place this month to honor academic achievements, such as inductions for the National Honor Society and the Italian Honor Society. Congratulations to these students, and stay tuned for the Spanish Honor Society induction and even a virtual spring musical performance. Check out Hawthorne Public Schools on YouTube for any recorded ceremonies. HHS is looking forward to honoring our graduating seniors through a virtual senior week throughout the first week of June. Stay tuned for the announcement of the activities. That's all for this month's report. Remember to stay safe and go Bears.
All right, thank you very much, Ava. Great job as always. Moving right along, Mr. Sprito, your superintendent's report, please.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, a few items to go over, and then we're going to talk a little bit about some of our teachers. First, I just want to begin again by, thanking all of our administrators and teachers for their continued efforts in this new remote learning. As you've probably noticed, as we've gone into this, further into this closure, we've tried to adjust what we've been doing or improve what we're doing as we move forward to continue to support our students. And our teachers have been fantastic in cooperating with the changes that we've made. And I want to thank them and the administrators in each building for their support in those changes. We also want to thank our parents. Again, I know this is not easy, to support your children in this kind of format. Having 4 children of my own, 1 in college and 3 in high school, I understand the challenges that come with this new learning environment, but we appreciate all that you're doing to support your children at home. And of course, as always, if there are questions or concerns, please don't hesitate to reach out. Finally, our students, obviously appreciate all that you guys continue to do. I want to encourage you to continue to work hard for the remainder of the school year. Obviously, we wish we could all be together for the rest of the school year, but we're going to try to provide some events for you as we go forward to engage you in things happening in our school district. And Ava mentioned some of our virtual events. We have a lot more to come, and I'm going to talk about that in a few minutes. Administratively, we continue to evaluate the plans that we have in place. We continue to revise those plans and make changes to those plans and try to find what I've been calling with our teachers our sweet spot, that where we feel that we're really being able to support all of our students. And I know that's not easy. Everyone has different needs and different challenges. And, we're trying to do our best to support all of our students throughout the district, pre-K through grade 12. And we'll continue to do that as we move forward. We'll continue to evaluate what we're doing and make changes as we feel appropriate. Okay. AP testing, I think Ava mentioned this as well. AP testing started this week. It is being handled remotely this year. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But I'll be interested to hear some of the feedback from our students as they get into this. There's information on our district webpage. There's a letter from Ms. Weggert. There's also links to the College Board website, which has a whole host of information about AP exams. And once again, if you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Ms. Weggert, our Director of Guidance at the high school, and she'll be happy to assist you. Ava mentioned about our virtual events. Really pleased with some of the events that we've already held. Our Italian Honor Society, our National Honor Society induction, our scholarship night, and just last night was our 5th grade parent orientation, which went very, very well. Again, I appreciate everyone who's been involved. Tamer Memkej, our network administrator, has been integral in the support of these programs, as well as our administrators and our teachers. We also had one of our police officers, Sergeant Delalo, participate in last night's event. So appreciate everybody who's making these events possible. We look forward to our Spanish Honor Society, which is actually tomorrow night. We have some special events or school play at the middle school and the high school. We'll be sharing some of that with our community members in the coming weeks. We have Senior Week coming up, which we're excited about, June 1st through June 5th. We're not really sharing all the details because we want some of it to be a surprise, but we're looking forward to honoring our students during that first week of June and other things as we move forward. But continue to visit that webpage. We're posting all those virtual events on that webpage, and there are links on our social media sites if you're looking for that webpage, and we'll continue to update you on things happening. And that kind of rolls into end of year events. We've had some questions about things happening through the end of the year. And as you may have seen, the governor, as of Friday, May 8th, there was a memo that came out from the Department of Education. There was a separate letter that came out from Colonel Callahan, who's the head of the state police, basically sharing that only virtual graduation ceremonies would take place this school year. That is as of today. Obviously, if things change, we'll notify our parents. Right now, we are planning for virtual graduations. And I know Ms. Goff is going to talk about the calendar and that when those dates will be. But we're working on all of those, the 2 graduations for middle school and high school. And we'll adhere to whatever guidelines are provided at the time. Right now, the guidelines are telling us that they will be virtual. So we will be prepared with virtual ceremonies. If those guidelines happen to change, then we will adhere to whatever is provided to us at that time. I can share that we've already held meetings with our students. I've had 2 meetings with our student council board, which was all of our seniors who participated in student council this year. It's about 26 students. We've had 2 separate meetings to talk to our students about what they would prefer. And I know Ms. Dever had a meeting recently with some of our 8th grade students at Lincoln Middle School to talk about some of the things they would like to host, not only this month, or I should say in the month of June, but also into July. We've already rescheduled our prom, and hopefully will coincide with our yearbook signing in July. And for our 8th grade dance and yearbook signing, we've already rescheduled both of those events for July. Hopefully we'll be able to host those at that time. But again, that'll be determined by what the guidelines or what the guidance we're receiving allows us to do. All right, but just know that we're working on all this. We're actively having conversations. We're meeting regularly to talk about how we can make sure that we honor our students appropriately. We want to honor our kids. They deserve it. We want to be able to do it for them. But unfortunately, we're limited by what's permitted for school districts. We will do everything that we can to make these events as special as we can for our students. All right. One other item in regard to the close of the school year, we've had a few questions in regard to things happening or things that are scheduled to happen at the end of the year. One of them is our kindergarten orientation, which typically happens at the beginning of June. Obviously, we can't hold that right now. Our plan for that is to host that in August. That is our plan. We'll continue to communicate with our parents regarding that rescheduled event. Unfortunately, right now, it's just not something we can hold at this time of the year. A couple of parents have asked if we can do it remotely. We're not looking to do that right now. We just feel it's important because there are certain things, certain programs, and certain assessments that we conduct during that orientation that we feel that's important that we have the students in our school to be able to do that so that we can appropriately assess them. So we'll continue to update everyone. The other thing that obviously we will all need to do, and when I say all, this includes teachers and students, we will have to create schedules to allow teachers to get into their classrooms and clean out their classrooms. We'll have to provide schedules to allow students to come in and clean out their desks, lockers, classrooms, return things like uniforms, Chromebooks, calculators at the high school. There's a whole host of things that we'll have to schedule at the end of the year. We are, again, planning those things. We are currently waiting. We were told last week that the Department of Education will be providing guidance on how best to handle those events or those scheduled pickups. So we are waiting for that guidance from the Department of Education. Once that guidance is provided to us, we will then go ahead and begin scheduling in the appropriate manner to allow our students and our teachers to safely retrieve their personal items, as well as to hand in items that are school items, such as books, Chromebooks, uniforms, and the like. All right, so again, we'll communicate that information once it's finalized. We just ask that you be patient in regard to those things. I'll let Ms. Goff, she's going to mention about the calendar that we'll be reapproving tonight. Basically, what the approval is to change our calendar based on our 3 remaining snow days. And again, we'll be talking about that shortly. The one other thing that I would like to mention before I conclude is, it's unfortunate once again that normally at this meeting, not only do we have our students running the meeting normally, which we love to do, which we're unable to do this year. But the other thing that we usually do at this meeting is we honor our teachers of the year. And unfortunately, we're just unable to do that tonight. We are planning to do that in September. I've spoken to our association leadership, and we'll be honoring our teachers on opening day next year with our staff. And we'll also be inviting them to our September board meeting so that we can properly honor these teachers for the work that they do with our students. I'll just share that we had some outstanding teachers who were recognized as our teachers of the year this year. Mr. Corvo, one of our history teachers at Hawthorne High School, who does an outstanding job in his classroom, truly passionate about the work that he does. And I'm sure the students will attest to what a wonderful teacher and supportive teacher that he is for his students at Hawthorne High School. And we congratulate Mr. Corvo and look forward to honoring him in September. In the middle school, it's Mrs. Laura Thomas, one of our math teachers. I can speak to the work that Mrs. Thomas does. My children were fortunate enough to have Mrs. Thomas at Lincoln Middle School, just an outstanding teacher who supports all of her students. She fosters a student-centered classroom, a love of learning. She creates lessons that are engaging and fun for her students. And once again, we look forward to honoring Mrs. Thomas appropriately in September at our September board meeting. At Jefferson School, once again, Mrs. King, an outstanding kindergarten teacher at Jefferson School. 3 of my 4 children also had Mrs. King. It just does an amazing job as a kindergarten teacher. Not an easy job, supporting 20 to 25 kindergarten students. I'm sure parents can attest to that for those of you who have kindergartners at home who are working with them right now. But just an outstanding positive role model for all of our students in Jefferson School. Congratulations to Mrs. King. At Roosevelt School, we have Mrs. Sarah Today, who's one of our speech therapists, excels in the area of collaboration with her colleagues, and again, a role model for her students, extremely positive, and does a great job working with our speech students who receive speech services at Roosevelt School. Congratulations, Mrs. Today. And finally, at Washington School, Ms. Raquel Pisacreta, who's been up at Washington School for the last 9 years. She's creative and innovative in her lessons, keeps her students engaged, and uses instructional strategies that are student-centered, content-rich, and hands-on. again, has an excellent rapport with her students. She also served as our cheerleading coach for a number of years at the high school. And again, very, very happy to recognize her and look forward to recognizing all of our teachers of the year formally in September. And the last thing I have, just remind everyone just to be patient. Obviously everything that we're doing at the end of the year is new. These are things that we've never had, challenges that we've never had to face before, and we're working really hard to make sure everything goes smoothly and that we can safely, do everything we need to do in a safe manner and make sure we keep all of our teachers and students safe. However, if you have questions about anything regarding our school district, whether it's already happened or it's coming up, you can visit our website. There is a whole host of information on our district website. You can reach out to your child's teacher, to your building principal. You can also reach out to my office. We are also, just one more reminder, we're also posting things on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We have accounts. I've been adding those accounts, as well as YouTube, I should say. We've been adding those accounts. I've been including those accounts on my weekly letters that have gone home. So I encourage you to access those social media pages. There's a lot of information there as well. And again, we thank you for your patience as we navigate these uncharted waters in the next month here. And again, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Thank you. That concludes my report.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Spirito. Nothing less than a stellar performance as usual. Let's see. We're going to move right on. Abby, would you please take us through curriculum and instruction?
Sure. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Curriculum and Instruction recommends the following resolutions: CI1 through CI4 on page 3. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
All right. We have a second. We have any discussion?
I would just like to share with those of you who cannot see the calendar that the amendment made is to take away the 3 unused snow days. So we will now be ending on the 16th of June. Originally, we were supposed to end on the 19th. So we removed the 17th, 18th, and 19th of June from the calendar, which would now make Lincoln Middle School graduation the 15th of June and Hawthorne High School graduation the 16th of June.
Okay. Thank you, Abby. Any other discussion?
Just if I could just add, Mr. Doyle, the 2 items, CI1 and 2. So CI1 was something shared with us by our board attorney, just to ensure that obviously these remote days, as the governor shared, these remote days count, but he just wanted us to have something formalized to ensure that obviously these days count to the 180 days, these remote days. And the health-related closure plan, that's the plan that we created just prior to the closure. We had to submit it to the county office. We've been asked to update it as we go. It's kind of a living document, and the DOE has asked us to update it as the closure has been extended. And this time, although we haven't board approved it to this point, at this point, what they're asking all districts to do is to board approve that remote learning plan or that health-related closure plan, which takes us through the end of the year. They provided us with a checklist to make sure that all the items that needed to be included were included. I worked very closely with Dr. Trebona and Mrs. Pignatello to update that plan. And after tonight, we will submit the plan with the board resolution to the County Office of Education to be forwarded on to the Department of Education in New Jersey.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Spirito. Any other discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call, please.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco. You're muted, Lou.
I'm always muted. Yes.
Mr. Doyle,
Yes.
Mr. Carr.
Yes.
All right, Abby, I'm going to go right back to you for personnel, please.
The following resolutions are pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, P5 through P11 on page 4, as well as P10 through 29 on page 12 of the addendum. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, seconded by Mr. Palouse. Do we have any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
I recuse myself from P13. Yes on everything else.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
okay. Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, Alex, please take us through finance and administration.
Thank you, Mr. President. Finance and Administration action item on page 5. Pursuant to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, the Committee on Finance and Administration recommends the following resolutions: F16 through F18. On page 6, F19 through 822. On page 7, all the way to item number 9. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, we're going to move on to claims. Marco, please.
In accordance with NJAC 6A:23-2:11B, C3 and C3, item CL 23, approval of the May 2020 bill list. It is recommended that the board approve the bill list for the month of May 2020.
Second.
All right, and we have any discussion with the claims? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. Moving on to buildings and grounds. Anthony, take it away, please.
Thank you. Pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, Committee on Buildings and Grounds recommends the following resolutions. On page 8, BG 24 and BG 25. And I have an addendum that I will read from. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Hawthorne Board of Education in the County of Passaic hereby approves the submission of the following other capital project to the Department of Education for review and approval and for amendment to the long-range facilities plan. It is further understood that the district is not seeking funding at the current time for this project. That concludes my report. Motion.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Ms. Sanford,
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, Abby, we're going to go back to you for policy, please.
Pursuant to the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Committee on Policy recommends the following resolutions. PO 26 on page 9. On behalf of the committee, I so move.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
yes,
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, we are going to move along to our committee and liaison reports. Alex, please start us off with Finance and Administration.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. President. The Finance Committee did not meet. We had our budget presentation about 2 weeks ago. As it was shared at that meeting, it's it's touch and go, waiting to see how it plays out as far as the state and the funding and whatnot. Also seeing if there's anything that's going to happen on the federal level. So it's a wait and see from that end. That's all I have.
Anything to report on NJSBA?
No report.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to move on to the referendum committee. Referendum committee did meet last week. Had a good meeting. Referendum projects are moving right along. I'm going to turn things over to Mr. Spirito as he has the most updated information. Mr. Spirito?
Sorry, I was muted. If there's one positive, I guess, that will come out of this closure is that we've been able to begin some of the construction and some of the work on the referendum projects scheduled for this summer. So I can tell you that the classrooms at the high school have all been cleaned out and emptied out. The work will begin in those rooms, meaning the STEM, physics lab, and culinary room. The work's actually going to begin this week. They're going to start doing the demo in those rooms. So we're ahead of schedule on that. All of the other projects that were scheduled for this summer, which include the Jefferson roof, the Roosevelt, portions of the Roosevelt roof, the media center at the middle school, and the science labs at the middle school have all been bid. Those bids have all been awarded. So that work is going to begin soon. The only work that really has begun at this point is the high school in terms of the rooms being emptied out and the demo beginning at some point. I'm not sure if it even started, may have even started today, but very soon. So we'll continue to keep everyone updated. Like I said, this is one of the positive things I think that's come out of this closure is we've been able to get a jump start on this work. Oh, I apologize. Two other items that I forgot to mention are the boilers at Roosevelt and Lincoln. The boilers at Roosevelt have actually been removed at this point. They're already out. So they're moving forward with that as well. So again, all these projects that were scheduled to happen this summer are on schedule, actually ahead of schedule. And we'll continue to keep everyone updated as we move forward. We'll take some pictures and put some things up on our website, on our referendum page on our website.
All right, thank you, Mr. Spirito. We are going to move on to Abby, please. We have Curriculum and Instruction Committee and Policy.
To piggyback off of the referendum comments, there was a brief update in the CNI meeting on the one-to-one initiative as part of the referendum. Mr. Brislin spoke to us about the fact that he had created a committee about 6 or 7 months ago of some administrators and some teachers at the various different levels. And the students actually got to trial some of the computers they were thinking about purchasing before they purchased them. There was an overwhelming vote for Dells. So they went ahead and purchased 1,390 Dell computers, Chromebooks to be specific. That includes about 100 extra because the places that they had been to look at the other schools that they were looking at that had done a one-to-one, suggested getting more in case you have students that need them to borrow them, they're broken, you have to send them out. So that includes about 100 extra for that purpose. Middle school students will also be receiving a sturdier snap-on case, and high school students voted for a sleeve case. Mr. Brislin is completing a handbook to address usage expectations, and the policy committee will be meeting during the summer to come up with a policy to reflect those expectations. Also, insurance was rolled into the cost of the initial purchase of these Chromebooks. It came out to be $60 per Chromebook, and that covers a 4-year use. We covered the initial insurance policy. We will be discussing what to do when the next round of purchases need to be made. Secondly, we discussed the fact that all Lincoln Middle School and Hawthorne High School teachers have a Chromebook right now, which has really made the transition to remote learning seamless for a lot of them. So going forward, the district will be replacing their desktops with laptops that they can dock when they get back into school. Dr. Trebona shared with us that in addition to one-to-one purchases being made, that she also planned and booked more Google trainings with Rich Kiker. Some was included with the purchase of the Chromebooks because they were Google. Rich Kiker was able to also complete his 4 additional trainings this year remotely. That made it so that we have 12 faculty members who are going for their Google One certification, which is super exciting. Additionally, Hawthorne High School is scheduling a new duty, which will be for next year, which Dr. Trebona is working on, which will be a tech duty to help with some of the rollout and some of the tech stuff. We received a brief special education update. The multiple disabilities or MD class will be moved from Jefferson to Roosevelt School. The LLD and inclusion estimates were not as accurate as we hoped they would be, so we had to add an additional teacher, and they did some internal moving around, so they were able to make that a realization. Going forward, the majority of special ed classes will be now housed in Roosevelt School, with the exception of a resource and ABA program, a STEPS program at Washington School, the disabilities pre-K, also known as the integrated pre-K at Jefferson School, and 1 LLD at Jefferson School as well. It makes sense to group and pool resources, which is why they moved things to Roosevelt School. And additionally, Dr. Trebona was able to work her magic. We had only budgeted for a 0.5 full-time equivalent resource position at the high school, but it became obvious that we needed a full-time situation there. So Dr. Trebona was able to reposition and get a full equivalent without having to adjust anything in the budget. We discussed benchmarks, since we're not in school actively, how we would be benchmarking data. So the last were done in February, thankfully, and those documents will be used to group students for September. And then once in school in person in September, teachers will then take the time to gather the data and group by skill. This is in reference to the NJTSS, the Tiered System of Supports. We discussed briefly about teachers being reminded to adhere to the schedule of time that their class period would fall in during this adjusted virtual schedule, so that students can anticipate when their virtual meetings would be, and so that meetings don't overlap. We did briefly bring up the concept of summer work, which I hate to even talk about at this point, but it is on our mind, the committee, and it is on the administration's mind. Nothing has been decided yet, but we are definitely discussing the possibility of minimal work at this point. So that will be a further discussion. And Dr. Trebona also shared with us the fact that pre-K tuition for the integrated section of that, which they do pay for the integrated general ed students, they so graciously decided to waive those fees, and which ended up being about $900, I think, per student for the final portion of the year, since they did not attend. Additionally, deposits would have been due for that program in April, but that was also pushed back to July. So we were not asking for money from those parents at this very difficult financial time. and there's nothing for policy.
Right. Thank you very much, Abby.
Mr. Doyle, if I could just add one item, and Ms. Goff mentioned about the Chromebooks, I can tell you the good news is the Chromebooks have shipped. So we've already, the order was placed and the Chromebooks, we were just notified on Monday that the Chromebooks for our 6th through 12th graders have shipped. So they're on their way, and we can start that process as well.
Great. And that number, if I remember correctly, is I believe we purchased almost 1,400 Chromebooks, if I'm correct.
That's correct. Just shy of 1,400, 1,390, I think was the exact number.
Great news. All right. Moving on, Anthony. Let's see. We got you for buildings and grounds and half CPAC and the PTOs.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. I'll start with just a small report from HEF. The Ed Foundation was able to hand out 3 scholarships this year for $700 apiece. Kaylee McCarthy, Christopher Miller, and Nicole Sprito were the recipients. I will move on to buildings and grounds. And a lot of what I'm going to report on here may have already been mentioned, but I'll try to breeze through it. Lifts, we completed 4 lifts, or we're in the process of completing 4 lifts. The one at Jefferson School was a new lift going from the lower level to the upper level. It, in order to accommodate the installation, it came down a little bit further than we anticipated, or at least I think we anticipated. And there was a door there. That door has been converted to a window, and a replacement door on the opposite side of the hallway was added. So we didn't lose any access points or exit points. We just shifted the side of where that was. I believe the only thing we're waiting for on that lift at Jefferson is state inspection. There was also 2 lifts at Lincoln School that have been installed. They're enclosed elevator type lifts. So I believe we're waiting for emergency phone lines to be added to that one. And the same goes for the high school. Once that's completed, a phone line will be added in there. And then all 4 lifts will need state inspection. Moving over to Washington School, the gym floor was complete. I've seen pictures of it. It looks awesome. I believe we're waiting for the lines for basketball and volleyball to be painted, and that's going to be, really exciting for them once they get back to school, to see that new floor. It looks awesome. Moving on to LED replacement projects. A lot of progress is being made throughout the district. I just want to make a comment about the Hawthorne High School hallways. They were completed. They seem to be a little too bright. So Generations went back in and replaced them and brought them down a little bit. Now I believe everything is in order. As Mr. Sprito, I believe, mentioned, there's roofs at Jefferson and Roosevelt that were either new or replaced, and those are complete already. Boilers also, he mentioned, that are in the process of being completed. I also want to mention that the track was reopened. The high school track was reopened for Hawthorne residents as of May 8th. And we just ask everybody to strictly use the track, adhere to social distancing protocol. And as long as that follows, we'll be able to keep that track open. And, hopefully we can do that. Flagpoles. There are 2 flagpoles one at Washington School and one at Lincoln Middle School that are in the middle of the walkways. They've been, over the years, swaying in the wind. The concrete's being, busted up around those. So a 2-pronged project. We're considering moving the flagpoles from the middle of the walkway to most likely the right side of the walkway to free up that sidewalk. And also, do the concrete work that needs to be done. Lincoln Middle School lockers, we were able to complete, I believe it's the 2nd floor near the science wing. They were the really skinny orange lockers that nobody could even fit a jacket in. Now they're a much wider Hawthorne blue. So that's a good project that we finished. And then just a couple more things. Mr. Sprito mentioned the year-end cleanup. The custodial staff is going to be prepared to, I'm not going to reiterate all the things we have to do about returning books and everything, but the staff will be ready to help out once that scheduling is planned. It's obvious that everybody can't go to the school at one time. So once that schedule is laid out, I'm sure we will report back to everyone. And then going from the year-end cleanup to thinking about hopefully someday getting back to school and preparing for that eventual return. Once schools do resume, custodial staff is going to continue to use the current spray gun technology for disinfecting high traffic areas and high touch points like door handles, in addition to their normal nightly routine of cleaning the classrooms. Mr. Chamberlain has obtained, I think, 3,000 disposable masks for the staff to use. And we also purchased the plastic shields, which will be installed around all the security desks at each school. They're similar to the supermarket and food establishments that we have. That's the first line of defense when everybody walks into each building. So I think it's really important that those security desks are protected as much as possible. And then just on one final note, I just want to make it a point that during these unprecedented times, we're actually, as a district, utilizing the time wisely. Mr. Sprito mentioned it. You can see that we've completed a lot of projects already, and there's a lot more that are getting ready to start. So we're taking advantage of the buildings being unoccupied at this time, getting a jump start on some of the new projects. Typically, we have to wait to the end of the school year and rush before the beginning of the next school year. So we're getting a big jump start on some of these projects, which will have a lasting benefit to the future of all the students of Hawthorne, the staff, and the community as well. I just want to thank you for your time. This concludes my report, and stay safe. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Anthony. We're going to move on to legislative news. Tanya, please.
Thanks, Mike. Just a couple quick things. As we all know, Governor Murphy announced that schools will remain closed till the end of the year and students would continue remote learning. In light of this, the New Jersey Department of Education is requiring school districts to submit updated plans to the county offices of education no later than May 22nd. Governor Murphy also signed A 1104 on May 4th, which is the Hunger Free Students Bill of Rights Act. This bill prohibits the denial of meals to students whose school meal bills are in arrears. The bill also requires districts to annually provide all parents and/or guardians with the information and forms necessary to maximize participation in programs. And the bill requires a district's liaison for homeless students to ensure that homeless students receive free meals. There was a veto. The governor vetoed A 3842 this week. This bill would establish a Bridging the Digital Divide in Schools grant program in the New Jersey Department of Education. The program would have allocated grants to school districts, charter schools, Renaissance school projects, and the non-public schools to provide or expand access to technology for students whose families do not have the means to purchase technology equipment such as laptops, tablets, or electronic mobile devices, or who lack internet access at home. The bill would appropriate from the general fund an unspecified amount as may be necessary to effectuate its purposes. In his veto message, Governor Murphy said he recognized the need for home instruction at this time and stated his commitment to improve remote learning so that all students can participate in a virtual classroom. However, he also stated his hesitance in authorizing such legislation with an open-ended appropriation, which could cost millions of dollars. That's all I have for tonight.
Okay, thank you very much, Tanya. Marco, our council liaison, anything to report on the council level?
Sure, yes. Thank you, Mr. President. The following are my notes from the May 6th council meeting pertaining to the Board of Education. The Memorial Day parade, unfortunately, will be canceled this year. However, there will be a memorial service which will follow the governor's social distancing guidelines. More details will be provided shortly on the borough website. The spring scholastic sports activities have been canceled as per Governor Murphy. Therefore, there will be no spring sports activities until no earlier than July 1st of this year. Also, the summer rec program is going to be canceled due to COVID-19 restrictions and guidelines. The Hawthorne Municipal Pool is scheduled to be open for the July 4th holiday, assuming Governor Murphy will allow pools to be open this summer. However, Hawthorne will provide discounted rates based on the pool being open fewer days and fewer hours. Currently, Hawthorne Day is still also hopeful for this year, though strict adherence to restrictions and guidelines will be enforced due to COVID-19. Lastly, the mayor also went on to thank those who participated in donating to the Hawthorne Strong signs. The money raised is going to support the Hawthorne Police, EMS, and Fire Department. This concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much, Marco. Lou, anything going on with Passaic County School Board Association?
Nothing, I'm sorry. Nothing to report.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, that concludes all our committee reports. We're going to move on to public be heard. Just real quick, I'm going to just relay a reminder to everyone. As a reminder, when submitting your questions via Zoom or email, please be sure to include your first and last name, your address, and your email address, followed by your question. Thank you very much. Again, questions will be answered in the order in which they're received. That being said, public be heard. I do see that we have one question and or comment. I'll get that started. This comes from Mike Sciarra, Councilman Mike Sciarra. Not a question, but more a statement. I would like to thank the Hawthorne Board of Education and the Hawthorne School District for doing an excellent job communicating with parents and the Hawthorne community overall. I know with COVID-19, these have been uncertain times and new challenges with remote learning and scheduling virtual year-end events. Great job. You should all be very proud. Signed, Mike Sciarra. Well, thank you very much for the kind words, Mr. Sciarra. Mr. Spirito, do you have any emails? I don't see any other questions in the box. Maybe we have some emails?
No, sir, no emails.
I'll give it another 20 seconds or so, see if anyone else clicks in before we close up public be heard. All right, that's going to conclude our public be heard portion. As usual, we're going to hold our general comments and questions and concerns from the board to the end of the meeting. We'll start out with old business. I'll run down the line, give everybody opportunity. We'll start out with Alex. Anything for old business?
Yes, I just wanted to congratulate Mrs. Sack and everybody responsible for putting the scholarship presentation. I have been a participant and a presenter for the last couple of years. Obviously, we're bummed not to be able to have it in person, but given the circumstances, fantastic job. It actually provided an opportunity to memorialize some of those recipients and those organizations that award the various awards. It's impressive to think that a small community like ours can come together and donate about $104,000 from the total account towards the very worthy recipients. So thank you for that. Also wanted to once again congratulate and just our hats off to the education system, just ours and those throughout the state. The various organizations, businesses had the opportunity to shut down and wait till the virus dissipates, but the education system did not. From 1 minute to the next, they had to go from in-person education to long distance while maintaining everything that the district does, all the employees, all the now lunches that have to be mobilized and coordinated on top of the budget and the referendum project that's being managed. So, phenomenal job on that, and just very proud to be part of a district that has done it so flawlessly. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Alex. All right, moving on. Remember, guys, we're in old business here. Anthony, any old business?
No, I'm good tonight. Thank you.
Lou, any old business?
I'm good, Michael. Thank you.
Tanya, do you have any old business?
No, just to piggyback on Alex, I just wanted to say I was very impressed with all the virtual events happening this week. Some I got to attend live and some I got to watch on YouTube after the fact. But I think the district and administration, everybody's doing a great job in trying to keep things as normal as possible and celebrate these kids and their accomplishments. So great job.
Abby, any old business?
No, Mike, thank you.
Marco, old business?
No, thank you, Mike.
Bruce, any old business?
Yeah, I would just like to second what they said about the scholarship night. I watched it at home on like my big screen TV through Apple TV, and it was impressive to see exactly what the awards were. And I just thought it was very well done, how they had the pictures of the kids, the voiceover, the whole thing was terrific. And second, what Alex said and everyone's saying about the teachers, the students, the parents. And I think as we move forward, we just have to keep in mind the wellness of everyone, that get offline as much as you can so you're not in front of the computer the whole day, and try to be as balanced as you can, even though everything is on the computer right now or on the phone, for our own wellness, to take care of ourselves. And a special shout out to the parents that have kids in elementary school and are working at home. I think, I really commend them for the job that they're doing.
Okay, thank you, Bruce. Joe, anything on our old business?
No, Mr. President, I'm good. Thank you.
All right, you're not getting off that easy. I'm coming right back to you for new business. Anything under new business?
No, Mr. President, nothing on new business.
All right, Bruce, how about you? Any new business?
I mean, the only new business I'm excited about the laptops that were spoken about that we're going to have moving forward. And I'm excited that the laptops that we have are going to go down to the elementary school. So it not only affects grades 6 through 12, but a lot of those laptops are going to filter down to the upper elementary students. So I can't wait, and I'm excited that they are on their way.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's great news. Marco, any new business?
I just echo the same sentiments that Bruce just shared. I think it's really exciting to look forward to for the district. And I just think it's going to really allow us to grow. And as those older books, Chromebooks get brought down to the elementary level, I think it's only going to continue to accelerate our children. So thank you.
Okay. Abby, anything for new business?
I'm good. Thanks, Mike.
Okay. Tanya, anything on new business?
No, thank you, Mike.
How about you, Lou? Anything?
I'm good, Michael. Thank you.
Okay. Anthony, anything new business?
I'm good here. Thank you.
All right. Alex, anything for you on the new business?
Yeah, I just want to reiterate Mr. Spirito's request, for the community to be patient with these year-end activities. They're trying to come up with the best, most creative way to honor these kids. The directive just came down from the governor not too long ago. So, these are conversations that have been had and they continue to be had. And just remember that we have a vested interest as board members. This is the year where I was supposed to hand the diploma to my graduate. So, we all have a vested interest, and we'll try and do the best we can. So just be patient.
Okay. Thank you, Alex. All right, guys, we'll close things out. Alex, I'll come right back to you. Any final comments, questions, or concerns from the related to the school district?
I'm good, Mike. Thank you.
How about you, Anthony?
I just want to thank everybody, Mr. Spirito, on top for the virtual. This is all new, and just the fact that we could put this together in such a short period of time, the teachers and everybody collaborating together. I know we're all saying the same thing, but it really is pretty impressive. It's something I don't think we ever dreamed about, whatever happened. Thankfully, we were able to have all the Chromebooks and do the best we could with educating the kids and trying to honor them, like Alex said. So that's all, but thank you for the time.
Okay, Anthony. Lou, anything? Final comments?
Yeah, just once again, to echo everyone's sentiment, feelings. I get the opportunity to see it here with us. I get to see it every day in Northvale, and what's transpiring is just beyond incredible. And the effort that people are putting through is just unbelievable. And I just want to say thank you.
Okay, thank you, Lou. Tanya, any final comments?
No, I'm good. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, how about you, Abby? Anything?
I would like to also say thank you to the community. It's unbelievable how everyone has just pitched in. Additionally, to the students, thank you. I see what it's like being on the other end, and they are working super hard in a very difficult situation. Our administration's fantastic. Congratulations to the Teachers of the Year. Everyone's a Teacher of the Year this year. It's amazing what everyone is doing. So thank you to everyone in the community, in our Hawthorne Public School family community.
Okay, thanks, Abby. Marco, anything you'd like to say?
Sure. Yes. I said it last month, and I'll say it again. The students need to be also commended on such a success with this remote learning. I mean, I just can't imagine what it would be to be a student going into this virtual world and having to learn what we're learning today, and doing it with my own children, and having to jump into this. It's just been an amazing experience. So I just commend all of you, the parents, those who are teachers and working, and also working with your children. I just commend you, it's obviously a standing order with our administration and teachers throughout the district. And just being that I'm on B&G, I just want to also give an extended thank you to the staff, Mr. Chamberlain and his staff, and custodians. To see the extra effort that's going on in this district right now is absolutely amazing. That Hawthorne Strong sign speaks volumes to me, because I truly believe everybody has stepped up and done way above and beyond what they are meant to do on their job description. And for that, I thank you all.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Bruce, any final comments or words?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
All right. How about you, Joe? Anything in conclusion?
Yeah, real quick, Mr. President, just thanks to all the teachers, the students, and the parents. Again, going through the face of adversity. Also, backing off of what Abby said, thank you. Congratulations to the Teachers of the Year. And also congratulations to the retirements of Mr. Ward and a teacher who is near and dear to my heart, Mr. Sook. Congratulations and good luck.
Okay, thank you, Joe. The one drawback to speaking last is you guys have said all the good, great things already. You don't leave me too much to say. I do echo all of your sentiments. It's all been said, and I'm not going to go through it again. Truly thankful for all the efforts that are being put forth from our lead administrator, Mr. Cerrito, and his staff, and all of our teachers and our ancillary support staff, buildings and grounds, and our janitors and our maintenance workers, our paras, everybody that brings this all together, our students who have to adapt to that new learning environment, our parents, and everyone in the community who is struggling and navigating through this, through these unprecedented times. That statement that's out there that, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, I can absolutely say with certainty that the Hawthorne community personifies that statement. So that being said, that's going to bring our public portion to a close. I need a motion to go into private session.
Motion.
Second.
All right, do we have any discussion? All right, we'll take a roll call to go into private session.
Mr. Turco,
Yes.
Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouse,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, that concludes our public portion. Just as a reminder, guys, everybody needs to log out of the public portion and re-log into the private session. See you guys there.
All right, bye, guys.
Thank you, Ava.
That was kind of strange at the end there.
It was like a delay.
Yeah, I don't think Lou's coming back.
No, he was like, "Have a great night, everybody."
That was just weird. On my end, I don't know if everybody else heard it, but Bruce, you made comments. Then we exited, and as we were exiting, I heard Doyle's responding. That was just weird.
That was weird.
That's all good.
All right, so we need a motion to close the meeting, Trudy, or what do we?
Yes, yes, a motion to close the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Clavijo,
Yes.
Ms. Goff,
Yes.
Mr. Palouche,
Yes.
Mr. Reicher,
Yes.
Ms. Sanford,
Yes.
Mr. Totaro,
Yes.
Mr. Turco, Mr. Carr,
Yes.
Mr. Doyle.
Yes. All right, meeting's adjourned.
Good night,
Thank you,
everybody.
everybody. Thank you, Tamara.
Hey, everybody.
Everybody, thank you.
Be
Be safe.
Stay safe.
Night.